We do want to bring in criminal defense attorney Imran Ansari now. Imran, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
And we know Kohberger has yet to enter a plea in this case. Is that unusual, given that he was arrested all the way back in December?
Well, we're waiting for that first hearing, which is going to be coming up very shortly. And at that time, we expect that Bryan Kohberger will be entering a plea of not guilty. It's typical, and we have no indication that Bryan Kohberger has any intent to plead guilty to any of these charges. Of course, his legal team before the gag order had questioned the evidence. Even his defense attorney in Pennsylvania, when he was picked up, made a very bold statement that Bryan Kohberger would fight the charges and somehow be shown to be not guilty. So we expect to see some movement at the next court date. In the interim, we have those pieces of information that we know about the forensics being found, that blood was found in his apartment, the DNA hits that led to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. Ultimately, it's going to be on the prosecution to link those pieces together forensically. But we are all waiting to see what happens with Bryan Kohberger and how this case will progress.
Yeah, and still any indication as to what specific evidence has the defense feeling so confident, at least as confident as they say in this moment?
Not yet. I think we are going to have to wait and see as that is given to the public. Of course, with the gag order, there may be limitations of what we learn ultimately as to the first salvo of evidence against Bryan Kohberger. Of course, there is a right to the public to have access to information from the courts and the right to a public trial. And we expect to hear some more information about the evidence. But we know that it's going to be a forensic case, a circumstantial case, if you will, where the prosecutor is going to have to link forensic evidence, including DNA, including certain other evidence, the video evidence of the car, and really point Bryan Kohberger as the suspect, as the defendant who was guilty for these crimes.
Let's talk about the gag order quickly. You know, a group of media outlets, along with a family of one of the victims, want that gag order lifted. We know that there is a hearing on that later this month. What do you think the likelihood is that the judge will change their mind or budge?
So the judge has to take into consideration of what is going to be beneficial to the case and to the defendant himself and his rights to a fair trial. I mean, this case has gained so much publicity. Here we are talking about it right now, but it really has captured the attention of the public. Of course, the public has the right to know of what is happening in the courts in this country, but also the defendant has a right to the fair trial. So if his team is able to compel and make an argument that if there is a significant amount of public press going forward as evidence is discussed and revealed, he will not be able to get a fair trial, then the judge may keep that gag order in place. Of course, as a public wanting to know what is happening in this tragedy, we want to see the evidence, we want to hear the evidence, but the judge ultimately has it in their discretion to make sure that the trial is a fair one and it's being tried in the court of law rather than the court of public opinion.
And let's stay with us for a moment. There is another story that we would love your insight on. A 21-year-old suspect who's behind bars right now, accused in a string of stabbings that happened near UC Davis. This is Carlos Dominguez, a former student there. 3 of the stabbings happened over 5 days, leaving 2 people dead, a third person in critical condition. Police say that they found a large hunting knife on that suspect. They're trying to determine where it was the same knife used in the attack, rather whether it was. So, Imran, safe to say the forensics are going to be crucial in this case.
Absolutely. The forensic, also eyewitnesses to any of events that may place this defendant. Of course, he's presumed innocent at this time under the law. But the forensic evidence, what they were able to find on his person. I understand that there was a knife that was found in his backpack that may match the mechanism of injury or death caused to one of the victims. So law enforcement are going to have to be taking that evidence, putting it together, giving it to the prosecutors who are ultimately going to be bringing these charges. And they're going to be able to link or have to link this individual to those crimes, of course, prove it beyond a reasonable doubt when they go to trial, if they go to trial. But ultimately, in this sort of fresh new stage with a arrest at this point, it's going to be important for law enforcement and prosecutors to get that evidence, to talk to potential witnesses, and make their case.
Okay. Imran Ansari, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.